We're going to walk you through the steps to properly setting up and adjusting your EST bindings on a channel board. Snowboard bindings are pretty much set up right out of the box. You can grab the hardware and screw them down to the board and away you go. But if you really want to get the best performance and fit out of your bindings, you're going to want to follow these easy steps to setting up and adjusting your bindings. Step 1, get the right tools for the job. 2, adjust your toe ramp. 3, adjust your binding straps. 4, mount your bindings. And 5, adjust your high backs. And once you've got your bindings fully set up, it's easy to make small tweaks and changes for different riding styles and daily conditions. So let's get started. You want to make sure you have the right tools for the job. Get yourself some full-size tools to really crank down your hardware. You're going to want a number 3 Phillips head, a number 2 Phillips head, as well as a small flat tip screwdriver. If your EST bindings have adjustable footbeds, you're going to want to make sure the toe ramp is adjusted to fit the length of your boot. As you can see, this toe ramp is definitely adjusted out way too far compared to the front of the boot. So what we're going to do is we're going to adjust so that our toe ramp lines up better with the length of our boot. With your number 2 screwdriver, you can take the screws that hold your footbed onto the binding, take both of those out, and set them aside. Once those are unscrewed, you can just pop out the back of the footbed and set the rest of the binding aside. We're going to take our flathead screwdriver to assist us as we pop out these snaps that hold the toe ramp onto the rest of the footbed. As you can see, this will disengage the rest of the toe ramp. So what I'm going to do, make sure those screws are lined up. It'll make it easier later on. Sliding, I'm going to go all the way to the smallest setting. I'm going to press firmly, both sides, and they snap right in place. Now you can see that the toe ramp is tied right to the rest of that footbed as one unit. Now all I'm going to do is take my footbed and reattach it to the binding. Slide it into place, making sure to first lock down the inserts in the back, and then screw in the screws that hold the footbed into the base plate. Now that we have that done, we can make sure that our boot has that nice seamless fit with the toe ramp. With the boot in place, you can see with the toe ramp pulled back, we now have that seamless fit between the binding and the boot. There's really no need for that binding and that toe ramp to extend out any farther because the toe of the boot is pulling up and away and isn't going to have good contact with the binding anyways. So now we're going to adjust our straps. We can take a look at our strap placement. I want to make sure that that strap is going to strap into the boot at about a 45-degree angle. You really want to make sure that both of the straps are centered along the center line of that boot. So to do that, I'm just going to use my little quick tool here. Slide it out to where it's going to sit perfectly over the center of the boot. And since they are new, I may set them a little tight because they will stretch as they break in. If I want to get them a little extra snug, just tighten them with a number 2 screwdriver and lock them shut. Same thing for the ankle strap. And then you always want to double check your work, and you want to make sure that they're not maxing out. As you can see, this one's a little too long, so I'm going to back it off. You don't want them to hit here because you won't be able to adjust them fully, plus you're going to start damaging your base plate of your binding. Straps are centered, locked down, giving a little bit of room for them to stretch as they break in. Now that we're at this point, we're ready to grab our board and start mounting up the equipment. With our Burton board with channel and with our EST bindings, we're really going to have a ton of options as far as mounting up our bindings on our board. First thing we're going to want to do is pop out our channel inserts. Take your small flathead screwdriver, press against the insert, and just slowly press up. you'll see they pop right out. With the channel insert out, you're going to be able to grab your hardware or your T-bolts and throw them right in. I want to have an idea essentially of the width that I want to strap into when my bindings are mounted to the board. If you don't know exactly how wide in inches your stance is, it's a good place to start. This one says 21 inches. So I'm going to set this board up to 21 inches wide, and I'm going to go reference in the front and reference in the back for my stance width. Take your binding, you want to set it on your T-bolts and kind of move it around. You'll feel when that guide drops into place. What it's doing is it's actually dropping into the channel, and now I can see when it's actually lined up with the reference point. So now I've got that set. Don't yet strap your binding down. Now, this is my front binding. I also want to know my angles. So what angles do you want to ride? I like to ride regular and switch, so a lot of times I ride 12 and -12. Some people like to ride more aggressive towards the nose, so maybe they ride 15 and -6. But for sake, we're just going to set this one up completely duck, 12 and -12. So I'm going to rotate it to 12, while at the same time making sure that I'm staying at the reference point. So now I've got my width and I've got my angle set up. Now what I want to do is I want to check where my bindings place relative from one edge to the next. What I'm looking for is that the toe and the heel are hanging off about the same off of each edge. If I'm too far towards the heels, I'm not going to be balanced when I'm riding. Pull your boot out, and now you can see that you're lined up with the reference. You're at 12 degrees, and you're lined up toe to heel, which is a very important thing to make sure as you're setting up your board. Now grab your hardware, and you want to just get them started. You don't want to crank them all the way down to start. Go a little bit with each one. Double check that you're lined up exactly where you want, and then crank them into place. Don't forget to throw in your insert. We're going to repeat the same thing with our back binding to get our board completely set up. Now that both bindings are set up on the board, we first want to adjust our high backs before we get out on the mountain and shred. The first adjustment with the high back is our high back rotation. Many times this adjustment is overlooked. What I'm going to do, take my number 2 screwdriver, loosen up both sides. Good. Now that they have that little bit of play, what I want to do is I'm going to set up this line at the back of the binding. So this line of the high back, I want to set that up parallel to the side cut of the board. So I'm going to kind of look down, lining that up. I also want to make sure that high back is still being pulled all the way back into the heel cup. Generally, I want to hold a little bit of pressure on the inside of the binding and tighten this side first. Double check my alignment and then tighten down the other side. The final step in setting up and adjusting our bindings is setting a little bit of forward lean. If I'm a jibber, I most likely want to take my forward lean all the way out. If I'm free riding or riding pipe, sometimes I might set a little bit more forward lean. I generally think that an F2 setting on our Burton ESt bindings is a good place to start, make sure we get in a good athletic stance for ripping around the mountain. Now that you've got your setup completely dialed in, it's really going to allow you to reach your full level of potential out on the hill. For more information on setting up your gear and which gear is going to be best for you, check out our other how-to videos, our articles, our live chat, and connect yourself with the snowboard community, expert members, and our snowboard staff. My name's Doug, coming to you from Sierra Snowboard's boardroom.